Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Long time no see. It's been quite a while since I uploaded a video just because of the lack of content to talk about. It's been a pretty uneventful offseason and I've been waiting some more for the Jets to do something so that I can talk about it, give my thoughts on it. But there's really been nothing notable to talk about since the first day of free agency. And even then it wasn't really that notable. So I'm going to go over the entire offseason so far, and from there we will take a look at how the team is going to look down the line coming into this season at this point, and what future moves they could still look to do. So we're going to jump in here with the RFAs. The Jets signed all of their RFAs except for Evgeny Svechnikov. They let him walk. I think that was a mistake, but maybe there was more to it. I'm not sure. But anyway, we're going to go over who was signed and who signed the qualifying offers. Jeff Malott, 2-year deal. Really solid Moose guy. I don't think he's an NHL player. I think he's just a really good AHL player. But anyway, 2-year deal for him. He'll be one of the better players on the Moose this year. Next up is Jonathan Kovacevic, who signs a 3-year deal. And it's a little bit interesting because on the final year of the 3-year deal, it is a one-way contract, meaning he has to clear waivers if he is to go down to the AHL. So maybe the Jets are thinking here if he can get better, progress. Maybe they see him as maybe a 7th defenseman, maybe the 6th defenseman in a couple years. But a little interesting there. We'll see how that goes in the future. And next up, maybe the most notable one is Pierre-Luc Dubois. So he does sign the 1-year, $6 million qualifying offer. So he is with the Jets this season, and it does look like he will be starting the season with the Jets. What happens in the future as the season goes on, I have no idea. If they play poorly, maybe they look to move him at the deadline to a contender and get a bag for him. Who knows? But Pierre-Luc Dubois is a Jet at the moment. He did have a press conference after he signed the deal, and it was a lot of fluff, obviously. I made a video about him signing and everything and what it meant. I don't think I talked about the actual interview though, and he just came off, I don't know, just kind of dodging the questions, running around them, just kind of talking in circles. And of course he's not going to come out and say, yeah, I don't want to be in Winnipeg, because that's just not a smart move for you. But it does kind of suck. It's pretty obvious that something was happening, as much as he denied it in the offseason. And I don't know how long Pierre-Luc Dubois will be a Winnipeg Jet. Might only be half a season, might play out the 2 years. Who knows what they'll do, but not a lot of hope there. Moving on from Pierre-Luc Dubois, we have Leon Gawanka, a really good defenseman for the Moose last year. He had a breakout year, really good offensively and shined defensively as well. I think he's a player that the Moose are going to keep for a while. He is really solid, and maybe he'll make the NHL jump one day. I don't know. I don't think that ceiling is that high for Gawanka, but a lot of fun on the Moose. So now we move on to Mason Appleton, and a lot of people had an issue with this contract being so long and for him having such a wish-washy season last year. Obviously, he didn't fit in Seattle, and he came into Winnipeg, and he didn't play fantastic. He was just more of a checker, but a lot of his offensive game seems to have dried up as of late. Hopefully, he's able to return to form. The Jets seem to believe in him to be doing that. Hopefully his offensive game returns to him, but he's pretty solid defensively, and hopefully he can recreate the magic that he had in the 2020-2021 season with Adam Lowry, because he was really solid that year in the bubble. He had 15 goals, I believe. He was just a really awesome player for the Jets that year, and hopefully he can recreate that magic on the third line, because the Jets are going to need that. They didn't go out and get a middle six forward as of yet. I know they were trying to. I know they reached out to Danton Heinen and a few more players earlier on in free agency, but they weren't able to close the deals for whatever reason. But yeah, so Mason Appleton, 3-year deal, $2.1 million a season. Not a terrible deal in my opinion if he's able to come back into form. And lastly, we have David Gustafsson, a 2-year deal, $775K AAV. The first year of the deal is a 2-way, and the second year is a 1-way deal. So Gustafsson here, really good player. On the Moose last year, he played fantastic, touch of offensive game as well, and he's just a really good defensive player, really responsible, and he will be more than likely the Jets 4C this year, behind Adam Lowry. Hopefully, maybe, hey, he takes off and he can take over that 3rd C role. It would be really cool if he was able to have a really productive year. It would help the Jets out big time. And I really like David Gustafsson, and I hope that this is the year that he finally takes off. I think he would have had more of an opportunity last year if it weren't for injuries, because every time they put him in, he seemed to get hurt. So now we have the UFAs that the Jets have signed this offseason. If you don't know who any of these guys are, I wouldn't blame you. There's a lot of forgettable names or just not notable names here. But we're going to start with David Rittich, backup goalie for the Jets this year. He signs a 1-year $900K deal. Now, David Rittich is not a goaltender that you want to play a lot. So if Connor Hellebuck wants to play 60-plus games again, that might be for the best, honestly. But I think in this situation, it's more of a let's wait and see how he performs, because goalies are weird. They can be terrible, and then they can come in and they can be absolute rock stars. So we're going to see how that situation pans out there with David Rittich. If you remember Laurent Brossoit, when we signed him in free agency from Edmonton, he really wasn't that great of a goalie in Edmonton. But then he came in to Winnipeg, and he was one of the best backups in the league that year. So a lot can change in a year. We'll see what happens with Rittich. Up next, we have Kenny Stenlund. He's a forward, formerly from the Columbus Blue Jackets. He signs a 1-year $750K deal, and it is a 2-way deal. So I think he'll start with the Moose, barring any injuries. But this is a guy that was, pretty solid bottom sixer for Columbus. He only played 3 games in the NHL last year, but then he got a pretty serious injury and missed the entire year. But I have a friend who's a Columbus fan, and he was a big fan of Kenny Stenlund. Just a really good bottom 6 guy, really good 4th liner. But unfortunately not able to play last year because of injury. Maybe if the Jets do have injuries, he comes into the lineup and maybe he kind of steals a spot, kind of similar to what Dom Toninato did in the playoffs against the Edmonton Oilers in game 1 and 2 there. He was pretty good a couple of years ago. So that's something that I could see happening, but more than likely probably starting with the Moose. Next up, we have Kyle Capobianco, and just another Moose defenseman. 2-year deal, $762K AAV. This is more than likely just a replacement for Heinola and Sandberg, who I expect to be regulars in the NHL this year. I do think that they will still be making a move on defense. And Capobianco's a guy that, they can call up if they have a ton of injuries, but they have so many defensemen right now that I don't think that that's the plan. If he ever does play, he played at Arizona for a little while, mostly at Tucson, their AHL team. I don't think that we will ever see Kyle Capobianco lace up the skates for the Jets. I think he'll be primarily a Moose player. But hey, I've seen crazier things. We'll see what happens. Next up, we have Alex Limoges. I think that's how you say his name. Not sure. New player. I need to figure that out. But a 1-year, $780K deal. And it's actually an entry-level contract. I don't know a ton about him, but he's a 24-year-old center, and from what I hear, it's pretty encouraging. He led the entire NCAA in points during the 18-19 season at Penn State, so that's pretty good that year. He had 23 goals, 27 assists, 450 points. Most recently, he played for the San Diego Gulls, playing 62 games, scoring 23 goals, 17 assists, and 40 points. So a pretty under-the-radar AHL guy, and a guy that I think can step into the Moose right away and cover for David Gustafsson. He's a sneaky guy that I think can play in the top 6 for the Moose right away. And don't be shocked if he gets a call up on the Jets if injuries arise. He could be cool. I don't know. I don't think he'll be anything crazy, but at the very least, we got a pretty good Moose player there. At the end here, we have Ashton Sautner, another left-handed defenseman, Winnipegger actually. So just a 1-year, $750K 2-way deal. He will not be playing for the Jets. He will be on the Moose. And then we have Saku Mainalainen. I believe that's how you say it. That's probably wrong. The same deal as Ashton Sautner. He will be playing for the Moose. I don't expect him to be on the Jets. So those are all the moves that the Jets made this offseason, and I've got my lineup prediction here. So we're going to start at forward. I'm going to say Ehlers, Scheifele, Wheeler. I don't want Blake Wheeler up on the first line. I don't think he's a guy that should be playing 22 plus minutes a night anymore. He is older now. He's still a decent player, but I don't think that he is first line. However, I do think that you could see Cole Perfetti play up with Ehlers and Scheifele. I would love that. I think that would be an incredible line. And then you could have Connor, Dubois, and Wheeler. But right now, to start the season, just with Perfetti coming back from injury, I don't see them putting him on the first line right away. But anyway, that's the first line. Then I have Connor, Dubois, and Perfetti. Last year, that line was great together. Perfetti took strides. He was great with Dubois and Connor. Connor benefited big time from him. Dubois benefited big time from him. And he's just such a great passer, always has been at every level, and that has translated to the NHL. I'm excited to see how he progresses this season. Now we move on to the bottom six, which I'm not too happy about. I think the Jets still need to add a guy here, maybe a middle six player like Evan Rodriguez. He's still available at the time of making this video. Sonny Milano would be a dream, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. But anyway, I have Morgan Barron on the left wing, who I actually have a lot of confidence in. He played great with the Jets and the Moose last season. I think that he could be a really solid third liner if he continues to play the way he has. Adam Lowry, I don't love Adam Lowry as a third line center. I think he's more of a fourth, and I think he'd be a pretty good fourth line center. We'll have to see what happens there, but more than likely he's playing the third line center role. And then Mason Appleton on the right wing, playing a two-way game. And hopefully his offensive game rebounds. Hopefully he's able to be a productive player again. Hopefully him and Adam Lowry are able to refine that magic that they had from a couple seasons ago. And the fourth line, I've got Jansen Harkins, David Gustafsson, and Dom Toninato. I'm not a really big fan of Jansen Harkins, but I mean, as a fourth liner, I guess that's okay if they don't bring anybody in here. David Gustafsson, really excited for him. Hope that he can capitalize on this opportunity and be a really solid fourth liner, maybe even jump up in the lineup eventually. And then we have Dom Toninato, who I'm not crazy about in the lineup. I do like him. I think he's okay, but I do think that there are better options available. And then I have Kenny Stedland as the extra forward. Now on defense, this is where it's a little bit weird, a little bit tricky to navigate, because Marcin DeMello, I don't see that changing at all. But then you got Brennan Dillon and Neil Pionk. And Dillon's a guy that was, I don't know, being shopped a little bit, because obviously the Jets have a ton of defensemen that are NHL ready, like Heinola and Sandberg, but Dillon just kind of logjams this left side. And he's a guy that I think the Jets could look to move on from. They were shopping him earlier in the summer. For now, I'm going to put Dillon there, and I think he is expendable just because of how well Sandberg played last year with Neil Pionk. And I'm not trying to say that Brendan Dillon's a bad hockey player, because he's not, but maybe Sandberg's just a better fit on that second pairing with Neil Pionk. And then, I mean, hey, you've got Heinola or Sandberg on the third pairing with Nate Schmidt. Nate Schmidt's not going anywhere. I don't think the Jets want to move him, and I don't think you can move him with that contract. He played really well with Ville Heinola last year, and then Dave Lowry just broke it up because, I don't know, he just wasn't a very good coach, to be honest with you. I do see that being a pairing this season. I'm pretty confident that that will happen. If it starts the season, I have no idea. The defense is just a huge question mark. I don't think Logan Stanley is going to start in the top six, at least to start the season. He might be the seventh defenseman, which I think is pretty likely unless he gets packaged in a trade. But that is how I see the defense right now. I have Johnny Kovacevic just there with an asterisk beside his name as an extra, but he will be on the Moose more than likely. And then not much drama in goal. Connor Hellebuck, the starter for sure. And then you've got David Rittich as the backup for now. Maybe he falters. Maybe the Jets sign somebody on waivers. But for right now, Connor Hellebuck is the guy undisputedly, obviously, with Rittich backing him up. So that is all that I have today for you guys. It's been a pretty quiet off season. Not a lot has happened. Quite a bit has happened behind the scenes of the channel though, however, as I have bought a new microphone, so hopefully I sound better. This is the first time that you guys will be hearing it. I've been using it a lot. I have a Jets documentary coming out within the next few weeks. I'm going to post it later on when the preseason starts or in the middle of preseason, just when the fans are more engaged and more people will watch it, because I've worked really hard on this all off season. So I really hope that it's really solid and that you guys like it. So that'll be coming out in a few weeks. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts on the Jets offseason and who you think could be an X factor this coming season. And I will hopefully see you soon. I hope there is more news coming on the way. And I hope the Jets get better, because I would love to see a winning team this season. So yeah, leave your comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.